This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy web show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with the CEO of a pet food company. I'll tell you all about him and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors.
Pets are part of the family. Make sure you can always afford the quality health care they need with Easy Pet Check, a nationwide pet insurance alternative. With Easy Pet Check, you'll save up to 75% on all your pet's health care at any licensed veterinarian in the U.S. Easy Pet Check accepts all dogs and cats regardless of pre-existing conditions. Visit EasyPetCheck.com. That's the letters EasyPetCheck.com. Taking care of your pet can be easy with Easy Pet Check.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, an inventor, a researcher, contributor at Entrepreneur Magazine. He's a foodie, a box wine drinker, a craft beer aficionado. He's a Bitcoin exchange founder, a Las Vegan, husband to Anna, dog dad to Sherlock, currently out to improve the world's pet food as CEO of Yumwoof, natural pet food. Welcome, Jaron Lukas.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Most people watching right now probably don't know that we've spent about like 4 times, repeating that and, saying the company name. But yeah, we got it that time and we're ready to go.
Yes. Yumwoof. Woof,
yeah.
Woof, woof, like a bark.
It's funny. I'll look at like what people are searching around our brand name on like some things that Google has for analytics, and like a lot of people type in Yumwoof, and I'm just like, I love our name Yumwoof, but sometimes I'm like, maybe we could have made it a little easier on people.
You know what's really funny? My husband always we talk about my shows and who's going to be on a guest and blah, blah, blah. And today, when I told him the name of your pet food company, he said for the game, he's like, you should do something about wolves. And I was like, no, it's not wolf. It's woof, like woof, woof, woof. And this is a thing. I want everybody to know that English is actually my second language. I was born in Ecuador and I speak Spanish. It was my first language. So there are times when I really think I'm saying something and my mouth is saying something different. So sometimes you might pick up on an accent, and that's because English was my second language. It's my dominant language now. I'm in the US. I speak it constantly, but there's still that kind of little bit of accent that comes out every once in a while. So wolf and woof
I honestly would not have known had you not said that. But my wife is Mexican, and I actually just came from downstairs where we were watching a new kind of like Mexican teleserie that just came out. So yeah, I've been practicing. We can do the second part of this conversation in Spanish.
Before we go any further, I want to introduce our drinking game. Anybody participating in our drinking game tonight, anytime you hear this word,
the secret word is kibble.
Make sure you take a drink of whatever it is you're enjoying, but please be over age wherever it is that you're watching from. And make sure you always drink responsibly. Please never drink and drive. So what are you drinking tonight, Jaron?
We decided to have a little celebration yesterday. We had an offer by an investor on Yumwoof. So we pulled out this little bottle of champagne here. So I'm drinking the leftovers. So
nice.
Champagne. How about you?
I am having a Bacardi pre-made rum punch with a very bright color in celebration of springtime.
I love it. Spring is here.
Yes.
Cheers to that. Could not
Cheers.
be better.
I haven't actually tried this yet, so I'm going to show you the can. It comes in a can, and it is a rum punch made by Bacardi. And I spent my honeymoon with my husband in the French Antilles. So they drink rum punch there. So we're kind of picky about our rum punch. We have our guava berry liqueur that we brought from the islands that we always get when we go back to the islands. So I'm going to try this and see if it's a contender in the world of rum punch. So give me a second.
Let's see how it is.
It's good. It's good. It's different.
I'm getting like a 6 out of 10 vibe.
It's a 6 out of 10 compared to the St. Martin rum punch. But the thing about rum punch is that rum punch is like different. They have different recipes throughout all of the Caribbean, right? So this is a really good drink, but it does not speak to the rum punch that I'm used to. But I'm going to have to take another sip to make sure. Before we continue to talk about Yumwoof, I'm going to say woof so that I can make sure that I don't say wolf. I want to play a game with you.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So you say you're a foodie.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've heard of the game Shag, Marry, Kill. Have you ever heard of that game?
Of course.
Of course. Okay.
Several times.
You've played it several times. Well, I'm not going to make you play that game, but I always take inspiration from fun stuff, especially in the drinking game world, and make it pet related. So this game is called Eat, Feed, Toss.
Eat, feed, toss. Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 options of food, and you're going to tell me if you would eat it, if you would feed it to Sherlock, or if you would toss it in the garbage can.
Okay, I like this.
All right. So first one, chicken, steak, bacon. Eat, feed, toss.
Chicken, steak, bacon.
Who is getting the chicken, who's getting the steak, and who's getting the bacon?
We're going to toss the chicken because chicken's
Okay.
gross. We're tossing the chicken. I know it's a lean meat, very healthy, but we're going to give Sherlock the steak because I am on keto and bacon has a lot of fat. And, you know, I can't do that to Sherlock. Sherlock, maybe he'll get like a little piece. He might get a little.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want him to get pancreatitis, so we'll give him the steak and let you have the fatty bacon. All right, perfect. And the chicken goes in the trash. All right, next one. You have to choose what you're going to eat, what you're going to feed to Sherlock, and what you're going to toss in the bin to make it easy. Beyond Meat Burger, Portobello Burger, Black Bean Burger.
This is a good one. So, but also a lot easier than the last one because we are for sure throwing the Beyond Beef Burger in the trash. That is, we're taking all that pea protein, canola oil, and all the other unhealthy ingredients that are in there, and we're just going to throw it in the trash and light it on fire.
Oh my gosh!
So after that, we have the Portobello Burger. That's going to go to Sherlock. And I'm probably going to want to check with my pet nutritionist before I do that. But, you know, dogs can eat some Portobello, I think. So Sherlock's going to get that one. And then, yeah, this bean burger, I'm going to eat that. And then probably just like not be around people for a few hours later.
I was thinking that if you gave that to Sherlock, we would have to put Sherlock in a room by himself.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's going to be me.
All right. I'm so sorry, Anna. This is just hypothetical, I promise. All right, next one. Kale, spinach, arugula.
Man, this is tough because kale has a lot of anti-nutrients and spinach was just discovered to have a lectin that actually crosses the blood-brain barrier. But we can cook the spinach and prevent that. So we are going to, and what was the third one again?
Arugula.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm eating the arugula because that's my favorite. Anna hates it, but I love it. So I'm eating that. Then we got the kale and the spinach. We're going to cook up the spinach for Sherlock, and we're going to throw the kale in the trash. Sorry, kale.
Man, I need to do some research. By the way, I love Beyond Burgers. Those are like, because we don't eat meat here in the house. I mean, we eat chicken, which does suck, but that's like, I don't eat mammals, basically. So chicken's like an option, but I do eat like a Beyond Burger or Beyond Meat at least once a week. And so I know it's not super healthy, but it's like our cheat thing. It's like our like easy food. So now you're killing spinach for me as well. I mean, what is this? Now we're going to get into the more fancy stuff. Sweetbreads, caviar, foie gras. And for those who don't know what sweetbreads are organ meat. Yeah, organ meat from the thymus glands and pancreas of usually like a calf.
Interesting. Well, those are going to have to go to Sherlock. One of the interesting things that you kind of start to learn after you like really dig into like the organs is like eating liver actually is good for your liver. Eating kidneys are good for your kidneys, lungs, etc. Stay away from brains. But, you know, like, especially like anyone who's on a whole carnivore diet, it's super important that you eat like every organ, and given that they're carnivores, like, you know, give them some organ meat. So, I guess it's called sweetbreads.
It's called sweetbreads, but sweetbreads are fancy. Like, you don't give them sweetbreads. Like, sweetbreads are like on fancy restaurant menus as like a starter. I think I've had them before, like when I ate meat. I don't remember them being anything to write home about. They were kind of chewy and like fried and breaded, I think they were. I can't remember, but I don't remember them being good. But then there's caviar, which I do enjoy, and foie gras, which tastes fine, but I mean, the ethical issue with the foie gras is just so sad. So I don't partake in foie gras, but I have had it many times. I lived in France. I've had foie gras many times, and it tastes good.
Yeah, foie gras is delicious, but like you, I gotta go with the ethical choice here and eat caviar as well.
Yeah, caviar with that champagne you're having. Okay, next one. Yeah, cheers. Next one, beef tartare, sashimi, or oysters.
Oh man, now you're getting really tough here. Well, the beef tartare is going to go to Sherlock again. You know, Sherlock loves beef. We're going to throw him on a raw food diet for this meal. The oysters, and then we had the
sashimi.
Sashimi, yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to go with the oysters. That's just like so much more fun and delicious.
Well, assuming they're from like north of Virginia, because if you give me an oyster south of Virginia, I'm not eating it. Like, the water's too warm. The water's too warm, and the foodborne illness chances are too high for me.
Now I learned something today. I promise you, I'm like only going to eat northern hemisphere oysters from now on.
You have to. And they just taste better, and they're bigger, and they're more delicious. Anyway, last one. This one's really easy, I think. Kraft Singles, Baby Bella cheese, vegan cheese.
Ooh, what's Baby Bella cheese?
You know those little red ones in the wax?
Oh, yeah.
The little circular ones?
That all day. I mean, I think I got to throw away 2 of those. I got to throw away the vegan cheese, Kraft cheese.
Kraft Singles, American slices, yeah.
Right. And anything made in the 60s, I don't eat it. So, you know, it's just all sorts of fakeness and artificial preservatives.
It's true. You know what? I use Kraft Singles. Don't kill me because I know this is not healthy, but I use them in place of pill pockets because they're cheaper. So I'll get like a quarter of the slice, and I'll wrap my old dog takes a lot of pills, and I'll wrap his pills in there, and he loves it. And it's a way cheaper option than pill pockets, which pill pockets are great if you have like a bout of a UTI and you need it for like 2 weeks. But this is like, we've been on these pills for years, so like I can't keep up with the cost of pill pockets for every single day, 3 times a day. So Kraft Singles, they do the job. And yeah, I would throw them in the bin. Otherwise, we're not allowed, like my kid's not allowed to touch that. So you can keep the Kraft Singles in the fridge for Sherlock. You can eat the Baby Bellas, and you'll toss the vegan cheese. I mean, I don't blame you. If you're on keto, why in the world do you even want to go anywhere near vegan cheese?
It's true. And I'm not anti-vegan. Like, in fact, I move more and more towards keto vegan, especially over lunch.
So I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and dig into Yumwoof. Woof, woof, woof. Yumwoof, woof, woof. Okay, guys, Yumwoof. If I mispronounce that, please forgive me. I promise I'm trying.
Hey, you just gave us our new slogan.
Yum, woof, woof, woof. Okay. I love it. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There's no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink with the CEO of a pet food company. So we're going to dig in to his impression of the pet food industry very quickly with 3 questions. I guess you can call this a game. We'll call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want you to tell me first, to start, the good things that you have found entering the pet food industry?
My answer on this one, I feel like, is an obvious one, but it's really the people. And, I went to kind of like my first foray into the pet food industry was with a company that has several products in it. And I was lucky enough to be able to go to the Miami Pet Conference in 2020, right before people stopped being able to travel. I probably got coronavirus on that trip. That's another story. So, yeah. But I had so much fun in meeting the people there. I mean, just everyone is a legitimate dog lover. Like, you don't go into the industry, especially today. And I think we're going to get into this soon, but the origins of the industry, a little murky. But if you look at the people who are in it today, like, there isn't anyone who's not trying to make a difference, who doesn't have a dog in themselves. And that's really just one of my favorite parts. And, I've gone to conferences in fintech and all sorts of industries. It's just so much more serious, and it's not, I feel like in a way you're not helping people. So that's what I love about the pet food industry, is like really where it's heading, the people who are doing that. And I'm very optimistic that if you look forward 10 years from now, the quality of pet food, pet products is going to be so much better than it is today.
From your lips to God's ears, dude, because seriously, like, that brings me to, tell me what the bad, that, like, your impression of what's wrong with the pet food industry.
I mean, the bad is really all of these giant corporations, to be honest. And hopefully this changes. But the origins of the pet food industry are very much pre-science. Like, we didn't know anything about science. It's 100% cost-based. So meaning, for the person who's buying a 4-pound bag of dog food on the shelf, this is not even going to be the cheapest stuff you can find. But let's say it's 4 pounds for like $8. Well, you got to ask yourself, like, okay, well, the store probably bought that for $4. And then the manufacturer probably wanted to have like a $2 markup as well. And there's a lot of people to pay. And so what do those ingredients actually cost? And when you get down to it, like, especially when you get to the like very, very cheap dry kibble, that ingredient cost per pound might be like 25 cents. So you got to ask yourself, what kind of food can you put in a pound of it and make that 25 cents? And is that nutritious? Is it healthy? One thing's for sure, it's certainly going to include a lot of carbohydrates. So dogs are carnivores. I think that there's plenty of science to show that they can eat 20, 30% of their diet at carbohydrates. I think one of the things that just really upsets me is seeing how poorly that we're able to feed dogs, and how like a lot of companies are getting away with that. And like, it's tough. I get it. Like, not everyone can pay for higher end dog food. Like, it can be very expensive, but I think it's very disingenuous the way that many companies are marketing their food as like, for carnivores, healthy diet, superfood, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at their first ingredient and it's like, worst case scenario, it's wheat.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me the ugliest thing.
Ooh, the ugliest.
Here, like, we're like dropping bombs here. Tell me something terrible that you've learned that most pet parents probably don't know that's really ugly about the pet food industry.
The ugliest is extrusion cooking. And extrusion cooking which is what creates dry kibble. Mixing that with the low quality ingredients I was just talking about. Extruders are the same machines that are used to make cereal. They are used to make dry kibble, and they're also used to make Cheetos. Dry kibble is basically Cheetos with vitamins in it. So when you look at this, what happens is, and if you saw one of these machines, you would be like, I am not feeding this to my dog. Like, it's just ejecting at a high rate all these little dry kibble pellets. And basically this machine, it has screws in it. So they're pushing the food in and all of these raw ingredients. So like, in the worst case scenario, you have these companies who are feeding, let's say the top ingredients are like soy protein. Soy protein is not good for your dog. Maybe you got like a little bit of canola oil. Maybe you got like some wheat gluten in there, like only the bad parts of wheat. And I don't know. I mean, some of these brands, you see like 4 or 5 ingredients that are just all high carbohydrates. You push that through an extruder machine, you grind it down, you press it with high heat, and because it's steam, so like high heat, 400, 500 degrees. And between the screws and the high heat compression, you're actually breaking all of the nutrients down.
So before I go into the food that you all make, tell me about your company. You and your business partners were either in the tech industry, and one of them was a chef in New York. And then you all changed careers, and here you are. So tell me how that happened.
My previous background, I graduated from Rice University in 2008. I became an investment banker and was in private equity for 4 years. Those I like to call my evil days. And luckily, I was able to overcome them, become a good person. And I started my first tech company in 2012. It was one of the first Bitcoin exchanges in the US. We were one of the first venture capital backed Bitcoin exchanges. We were really trying to bring legitimacy to the space. I was living in New York City at that time, and, it was a ride. Let me tell you that. I sold that company in 2016, and through a series of events, we'll say, I spent a year in meditation through that process. And, I had a life experience called the last crypto crash, where my net worth just fell incredibly. And through that experience, I had my net worth, my personal worth tied so much to my net worth that when that went away, I was left kind of exploring who I was. And so your meditation, and through that, like I really came out of it wanting to do something tangible. So tech is all virtual, digital. It does help the world, but it's boring. And it doesn't help the world in the same way as like a tangible product that's physical and a clear necessity. Like your dog has to eat food, and making sure that they're eating food that's going to extend their life 5 years, hopefully, it's a very like worthwhile, noble, and fulfilling thing to do. So my two co-founders and I, friends for 10 years now. And Yo and I have been through a lot together within the tech industry. Ray, as you mentioned, was a former chef in New York City. That's why our food smells so good. Like it smells like a sweetbread. It's soft and chewy. It's such a cool product. And like, I really have to give him credit for that, because he brought his extra special love to this product. Another thing is just like, we wanted to start a company as friends together, like have that experience where we could kind of, starting a company is never easy. And let me tell you, this was really hard to get off the ground. We've been spending a year and a half on it. We launched a year into starting. So, between the process of just like getting the product right, like it was so hard, but so worthwhile too. And we launched with it in November 2020. Basically, we had amazing sales day one. We grew 2.5 times faster than we expected. And, we've really just been ramping up our production and, like trying to make customers happy. So I love this product. I feed it to my own dog when I'm not making his own food. But that does get me to our next product that we're going to release that I'm honestly just as or even more excited about. And that's our DIY homemade dog food. It's going to be the same base recipe as this, but in a powder format where you can buy your own meat, coconut oil, and eggs. So we get asked a lot, like, do you have organic eggs? And this unfortunately does not. That would make this prohibitively expensive for anyone, including myself. So, we wanted to create something where it's like, you can add your organic meat. You can add your own meat, eggs, and coconut oil. Coconut oil, I'm a big, big fan of. It's like a big part of this product. This perfect kibble is about 10% coconut oil. And there's no other dog food that has like anything like that. When you look at the NIH studies, all the NIH studies conclusively show that it helps with brain cognition in dogs, also epilepsy for dogs with epilepsy. It helps with energy. And basically it helps with dental health. And basically there are different parts of coconut oil that have these benefits, but like the lauric acid in coconut oil is what like primarily helps with dental oil. It may have anti-cancer properties because of the similar antimicrobial stuff. I'm a big fan of coconut oil, but also when I'm thinking about longevity, metabolism, it almost makes me sad that I don't see more people searching, because I'll do like my little analyses to see like what people are searching for. And not that many people are searching for like how to make my dog live longer or how to improve my dog's metabolism. And that one I'll give people, because most people don't really, you hear metabolism and you're like, yeah, I didn't pay attention in high school chemistry. That was certainly me. And
Same.
You know, yeah. And now I'm like the opposite. Like all those things I was supposed to be learning then, I'm like learning now. But, you know, when you think about metabolism, doing things that help your dog's metabolism gives them more energy, but it also is 100% directly correlated with anti-aging. So, you know, ultimately, we all want our dogs to live longer. And I think people get caught up in the very like near term now of like, you know, I don't know, everyone's different, but I'm definitely always thinking about like, how can I get my dog to live to be 20? And, you know, maybe his like ancestors have a 13-year average lifespan. So big fan of coconut oil. Definitely recommend feeding a little bit of that to your dog every day. But, you know, ultimately, like I want to see more people making dog food at home. And what I can tell you is like what I might consider to be the best product out there right now, you got to mix in 10 ingredients. It's such a pain. I'm like, I'm not buying all these ingredients and then mixing them in just so I can make homemade dog food every 2 weeks. Like that's a lot of work. So we wanted to make it really easy, and it's all the dehydrated ingredients that your dog needs to get all the antioxidants, blueberries, stuff like that, but allowing you on a budget to actually like throw in the meat of your choice and the coconut oil that is so good for dogs and the eggs, like organic if you want, like you can still like not break the bank. And so that's really like been the vision. And with all the stuff you see right now, especially on TikTok with like, you know, people making these really cool videos of like homemade dog food, and they throw in some quail eggs and, you know, like some seaweed, also very good for dogs. But before you go feed your dog some seaweed, go Google that, because there are specific types to feed your dog. I just think what's happening with that trend is so exciting. It's literally for foodies like you and me.
Yes, for sure.
And so it's like offering that to your dog, but like in a way that's like maybe not going to take up your entire Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sustainability is huge, because like for us, we used to feed our dogs a homemade raw food that we used a packaged powdered thing that we added to it, but it was way more than 3 ingredients. And we did use coconut oil, we used eggs, and we used ground beef. And we could source it based on our budget, right? Either we were getting stuff from Costco or we were getting like free range eggs from like the farmer's market, if we could like source a lot of them, enough of them to make it worth the expense. So we definitely had a lot of control in the quality of the things, but it took time. And so when we became parents and we had 4 dogs and 1 baby, like all of a sudden we didn't have the time to be doing the food prep every week and the freezer space to be doing stuff. So it really becomes a challenge when it's not easy. And it is a trend for sure, but it's not an attainable trend for a lot of people just because of time and budget. I get the feeling that this is like a really like a heart-focused kind of entrepreneurship. This is kind of like you have a dog, you get an interest in what they're eating. It kind of turns into a career, an aspiration to build this brand. And so where are you right now? Where do you see yourselves going?
I think you got it spot on. And I appreciate you noticing that, because I definitely do think about this from that element. Like, you know, when you're running a business, you know, you're always balancing, like, how do you make the numbers work with, like, in at least this case, some people are like only that. But, you know, you're also thinking about like, how do I help people? And with us, like, I'm really trying to figure out how we can make $1 billion impact that legitimately improves the lives of people and specifically their dogs. But at the same time, like, not necessarily just creating a bunch of products that people don't need in order to achieve that. Like, we want to do something that's actually going to be good for them. And that's really where I get to this fresh food thing. This is a great product, don't get me wrong. And for people who like don't want to have a bunch of their refrigerator space taken up by dog food. Like, this is it. But ultimately, there's nothing better you can do for your dog than make them food at home with fresh ingredients. And the same for you. Like, and take this from someone who like used to have the worst diet ever. And, when you really, really look into it, like the reason why literally 50% of Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes is because we're eating high sugar foods that are highly processed. Humans have maybe eaten this way with like higher carbs for 12,000 years since the agricultural revolution. That's only 5% of the modern Homo sapien human history. So when you think about dogs, like dogs have only eaten this way for like 80 years. And so they're not biologically adapted to it. And so companies are just getting away with feeding dogs 50 to 70%. And here's why, because I confront this every day. I confront this struggle head on. Those are the cheap ingredients that allow you to have high margins. So we have accepted and honestly sometimes struggle with what our margins are because we've included these ingredients. Yeah. But like in the end, it's like, that's just like what really frustrates me about the pet food industry today. It's the thing that I number one want to see today. And so like my question is, and you were asking about like the change that like we would like to make. It really is, how do we get more paw parents feeding their dogs fresh, cooked, homemade food?
I think having the two products is perfect because for me right now in my stage in life with these two young children, my husband traveling as much as he does, I could not take on making, even with 3 ingredients, I couldn't take it on. And a lot of pet parents aren't going to take that on.
One other thing we're thinking about doing, and if anyone listening is interested in doing this, please send me an email. We're thinking about taking the DIY homemade food and using that as a base for people to be able to sell homemade dog food in their local community.
Ooh.
And so we're thinking about creating like, if we took all the raw ingredients for making dog food this way and marked it up 50%, we would still be half the price of Farmer's Dog and Ollie. So, I think it could be a great way, especially like given where the whole economy is at right now, to kind of allow people to, create their own business out of their own home and help spread that message of, basically like improving pet nutrition across their community.
So I used to be a pet sitter. I used to have a pet sitting business in Northern Virginia. COVID made us make the decision of getting out of that industry just because we were shut down for the past year. Many pet sitting businesses who are still hanging on are struggling. So that might be something that a at-home pet sitter might be able to take on to add to their service offerings and to increase their revenues.
Great suggestion. I'm definitely going to look into that.
Absolutely. So tell us, how can our viewers and listeners get in touch with you, get on your website? Where can we find the products? Tell us everything.
Yeah, you can get in touch with me over Instagram. I'm Jaron Lukas, and our company is Yumwoof, YUMWOOF.
And you are also at yumwoof.com. So I've got to wrap this up. I want to propose a toast to you, Jaron, for being on the show. Thanks so much for giving us a lesson in pet nutrition and human nutrition while you were at it. I'm taking notes.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Awesome. Cheers. Also to our executive producer, Mark Winter, thank you for making this show possible. And to our viewers on YouTube and our listeners on Pet Life Radio, here's to you for spending your time with us. And here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers. If you want to learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.